Welcome to the Tint Life Podcast with Montana, the Tint Craftsman, Kayla Ramirez, and Alicia Yancey's, brought to you by Pro Tinter and sponsored by Solar FX Window Films. Let's dive into the tint life together. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just tint curious, join us as we dive into the world of window tinting. Window tinting. Window tinting.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Women Wednesdays. I'm Montana, the host of the Tint Life Podcast. I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts. Now let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kayla Ramirez with Goddess Window Tinting.
Hey, tint lovers, this is Alicia Yancey with Ace of Shades Window Tinting.
And this is Women Wednesdays, but I'm finna get out of here. I'm gonna let them bring their special guests to the stage, but I'm finna get ready to head out and let y'all ladies do your thing.
All right, and we'll let her introduce herself.
All right.
Hey y'all, I'm Melody with Champagne Window Tinting.
Hey.
Oh, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from? How long have you been tinting? Just a little background information on you.
So originally I'm actually from Houston, Texas. I moved to Georgia in 2015. I love it here. It's beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm close to you now, aren't I, Alicia?
You are. So I'm actually in North Carolina. Montana's the one in Georgia.
Girl, we're neighbors.
We are.
So, because I moved away from Kayla, who's in San Antonio, right?
No, should have
So I got
stayed.
the best of both worlds here.
Yeah.
Yeah. East Coast weather is better. It's not as hot.
Look
But
at
for
Kayla.
tint, it's good out
It's
here.
hot, I hope.
Yes.
It's hot.
How long have you been tinting?
Man, so I've been tinting, I guess, for 7 years now.
7 years?
7 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, man. Okay, and what made you choose window tinting?
Man, that's a good question. So initially, I guess I just needed a job. But I still think it's funny what draws certain people to tinting, right? Because when someone sees a job listing for tinting, not everybody's going to be attracted to it. People attracted to it, right? And I think there's an artistic side to it that people are just like, you know what? I could do this and I could do it well. And I don't know, it's an artsy thing, I think. So I think one thing that all of us tinters all have in common is we're artists in a way. And if tinting isn't our main art, there's something in the background that we have that's going on that's our art, So
Yeah.
I think that was it.
I agree. It
What was
definitely
your
is
background
art.
art?
So my dad's a musician, which is why he named me Melody. So I like to sing, and although I'm not necessarily great at it, it's something I still thoroughly enjoy, we don't do it because we're great at it. We do it because it's fun, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. You get better over time.
Are you going to WFR?
The Window Film Revolution?
Mm-hmm.
The Chattanooga one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. I
Yeah,
went to
you
the
should.
last two because they were actually right here in Georgia. So, yeah, it was a great time.
Well, we're
Yeah.
going, so you should go, and we should karaoke together.
I think we need to karaoke. I think we need to just group up and have our feminine energies together and just network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Is it so how many I heard that you went to another comp or a tenor competition in Georgia. How many tint competitions have you been to in your career?
So Tinter Battles was the first one that I ever went to, and I teamed up with Montana. And I had only known the tint industry for a short period of time. So that was really fun to get to know them as being hey, I'm competing.
What's up? I'm here.
Pretty much, you're I'm here. Who are you guys? This is who I am. And so it was really funny. I went to the Expel dealer conference this year, and I swear I didn't mean to do this, but I was signing up for all the classes that they offer, and I accidentally signed up to compete. And so Dean comes up to me 10 minutes before a competition, and he's like, "Hey, you're competing, right?" And I was like, no, I'm just here to spectate, I'm not competing. And he was like, no, you're on the roster. And I was like, for who? For what?
Oh shit.
What was the competition for? What was the battle for?
It was just like a expel like window tint off competition, and Angel was like, "Hey Melody, you need my belt," and I was like, I guess I do. So he was like, "I'm gonna go up to my room real quick. I'm gonna go get it, and I'm gonna bring it down." And I was like, "Wait, like I didn't mean to do this, guys." I'm like, "Well, you're doing it," and I was like,
That's the
Guess I'm
best time.
doing
You
it.
probably went out there and killed it.
"Yeah." Well, I didn't kill it, but it's fine. I guess for me, like I do like competing because it makes you better. Like it makes you think
Yeah.
about your timing and your surroundings and how you
Mhm.
do things. Um, but in my shop, I know that like it's not as fast as you can do it, but take your time and do a great job. Put out a good
Mhm.
product.
Yeah.
But I still think it's amazing the people who can go really fast at what they do. I just
Yeah.
haven't mastered that yet, and
Yeah.
I've never strived for it. So
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, me
I
either.
definitely get that. Yeah. That's okay. So is that a woman thing? Because every male that I meet, like it's always time. Like, oh, I could do a car in an hour, or I could do this in 45 minutes. But with women, the more I meet them, it's always like quality. It's always more quality over quantity.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you
I
got
need to-
both, it's a bragging right, right? You know,
Mhm.
I think I saw you, Alicia, going after some heat shrinking competitions, right?
I did. So I kind of got through in just like how you got through. Well, I didn't sign up. Marcos came up to me while I wanted to tent, but I had missed the first day, unfortunately, because I had to drive to Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the second day, I was talking about how I wanted to compete, but I missed all signups. And then Marcos came up to me and was like, "Do you want to compete?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, throw me in there."
Put me in,
So that's
coach.
how it happened. Yeah, put me in. But definitely the nerves, the everybody watching you, you're on live, like the pressure is hot in there because the heat guns are blowing. It was
Yeah.
Oh
just,
my
it was a
god.
lot.
It is.
Wearing makeup was not the move. I was sweating.
Yeah, for
I
It was
mean,
sure.
you
fun
gotta do
though.
what you gotta do. You're like, you know what? I'm relying on muscle memory at this time, or relying on
Mhm.
my confidence. Like, I know how to do this, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And when you go up there, you kind of go blank. You're just like
I
in the zone,
bet.
like
Mhm.
let me just like you said, muscle memory. You just try to remember with your muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think
what are your upcoming goals for like this upcoming quarter or this upcoming year? Do you have any? Have you set any aside?
Yeah, like I think as a business owner, a lot of people can relate to where there's a lot of times where you're maintaining and there's a lot of times where
Mhm.
you're growing. So you have to pay attention to the times where you're maintaining, and you have to be okay with that. So we grew recently and now we need to maintain. And you don't want to
Mhm.
grow too quickly and you don't want to grow too slowly. So there's like that sweet spot. And right now I think we grew and now we need to maintain, because the first thing sometimes that goes whenever you're growing is quality, and you don't want to do
Mhm.
that. You don't want to lack
Yeah.
on that. And I know it's easy to say that'll never be me. That'll never happen to me. But sometimes whenever you're just going and you're moving
Yeah.
and you're getting in the groove of things and you hit a sweet spot, but then after that, all of a sudden you're like, I can book more people. That's when you might start to lose it a little bit. And you're like, no, like take your time, take your pace, make sure you're setting not just like a good expectation with customers and saying that like, hey, it's gonna take 2 hours, it's gonna take 2 to 3 hours.
Mhm.
You have like a 15-minute buffer even in between that, because tinting is a physical job,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
it takes a toll on you and it takes a lot out of you, and you need to make sure you're okay, your tinters are okay, whoever's your partner in that moment when you're tinting, who's next to you, like, are you good? What do I need to take off your plate? What can you take off of my plate? Like, how can we make this a harmonious situation? And then the
Mhm.
customer happy, and at the end of the day, we're still delivering a product that everybody's happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. Oftentimes, like first of all, tinting is like exhausting. If you've been tinting all day, you know you are exhausted by the end of the day. But it is very important how you said to maintain after growing, because a lot of times we just want to keep growing, and keep changing the goalpost. But we have to sit there, but to like know like this is where Or how was you able to figure it out? 'Cause a lot of times new business owners have a hard time where understanding this is where I need to maintain myself.
I mean, sometimes it's too late. Sometimes you're like, oh, shoot, I should have slowed down there. And sometimes when it's too late, you still realize, okay, well, that means I still need to slow down. And then you're just trying to recognize those patterns again and again and again. Like the data that you take and say, hey, we did this much in this month. So maybe next year, if I compare that same amount to next month, we might do that. But if it's slow, like, why is that? Is it the economy? Is it the presidential election? Is it all these things? Like, you have to know that you're recording a history every single day. You're recording data. And if you track all of that, you can start to make comparisons. You can start to say, hey, this might be why. These are the trends in, what's going on in the world right now. This is the trend in what's going on in my area. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play. And so you just have to be open to them all. I know when it's slow, it's hard for all of us. We all start to question our values, we question ourselves, we question, am I good enough? Is this business doing more than me? Are they doing better than me? And you have to take those in stride and just be resilient, because somebody will give up, and I don't want them to, but they will, because it's hard, right? You're like, oh no, like, my business is going to get swallowed up. Maybe I need to think of new business ideas, or maybe I need to focus on something I'm doing wrong. And it's like, no, you're not. You need to realize that that's not always your fault, but still always make yourself better and be ready for the next thing in case for some reason it is your fault. So with maintaining, like, at sometimes you just, I need to better myself, but maybe I'm okay. It's not,
And it's okay to just be okay.
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
to say, hey, like, it's a slow day, because when I was a server for a long time in restaurants, but even if you go into your favorite Starbucks stores or your favorite Nike stores, you got to realize they're having slow days too. And
Oh,
no,
that's true. I've
there's
never looked at
somebody
it like that.
behind there that owns that store that's not happy about it either, but they're gonna live, right? They're gonna be okay, right? So building your business is truly building a house, just one small brick at a time. It's not like one day you snap your fingers and a house that you dreamed of is there. It's one brick at a time, slowly but surely, until you create this amazing structure on an amazing foundation that you're like, I did that. And you're right. I didn't realize that if you use this cement instead of that cement, it was going to fumble, but it did. The whole thing fell over. And I spent a year and that whole thing fell over. But now I know. So now I'm going to try to rebuild it with a stronger cement. I'm going to try to build it with something that's different than what I did before. Not because that failure taught me I'm a loser, but because that failure taught me I didn't know what I was doing, but now I do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I
I
love the way you talk.
Yeah, I love that.
I
So I
can
spin it a
feel your
whole different way.
spiritual energy.
For sure.
But that's what it is, right? It's huge amounts of patience. Huge.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely understand what you're saying. I use a different term, so I usually say like L's aren't L's losses, they're always lessons, because now I know what not to do. I know how to grow from this situation. And a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
times people will like get in a situation, whether the business is hard, the person they're working with is difficult, or them not able to find like a location, or whatever the case may be when in business, because business is anything's thrown at you, but they
Mhm.
want to give up. And it's like, no, you just took an L. You just took several L's. And those are all lessons. And
Mhm.
you're
They're
just
all
coming.
lessons.
Yeah.
So just switch your mindset into thinking exactly like that, and you're good. It's almost like you can take failures with an open heart instead of, like feeling like, oh man, that really brought me down today. I mean, it brings me down, but there were so many things. Like when people ask me, how was your day today, Melody? It's so hard sometimes because my day had 12 good things happen and maybe 15 things bad happen. So I don't know how to explain all of that.
Yeah.
It was all right.
It was good.
Yeah, right. I'm alive. I'm here.
No, seriously. But it does go back to your mindset, because once you start like speaking of the negativity, even just like complaining about all the 16 things bad that happen without taking account the 12,
Yeah.
your
Yes.
mindset just like makes you negative and like, okay, why would I want to do this again tomorrow when I just had 16 bad things happen to me today?
Yeah.
Versus like, I want to speak on a positivity, like, okay, yeah, I had a bad day, but I learned how to do this better. Or this job actually went the perfect way it could have went while this one was bad. So it's just like
Mhm.
definitely changing your mindset definitely makes you a way better business owner too.
Yeah, and realizing a whole bunch of things, they just didn't kill me. I'm still going.
Yeah, yeah. It's the perspective. It's the way you look at things and the way you shape them that really make your days. Like
Yeah,
you have to have that mindset, otherwise you're gonna crash and burn.
yeah.
Mhm. And also like the people that's been
Had
in
some
like how you
crash and
said,
burn days before.
Oh, I cry in the back of cars on a regular. I'm a
I
big
haven't done
crier.
that in a long time, girl. What
It's
happened?
been a while. It has been a while. I mean, but
Hey, but
this
I've done it though, right?
yeah, yeah. It's nice, I'm not doing it as much as I used to because it was more when I was doing wholesale work, like I was like,
Yeah.
why have I been working on this car all day only getting don't even want to say the number amount of money.
Mhm.
I cry less,
yeah.
but
I think my biggest thing about like why I cry a lot within this industry is I think the other men in the industry, like really, because like when you realize like how dirty they do females in this industry, I think that's like what bothers me so much. Because it's just like I wouldn't expect a lot of people to do certain things that they did to me in shops that I've been in before I ventured out on my own. Those are like the days that are like the worst. And it's like, okay, is this for me? Because I just don't get it. I don't understand
it
this
gets
life.
better. It gets better. It gets easier. Like it rolls off easier. Like things don't affect you like they because they used to like it used to
Yeah.
bother me too. Like, and the more you deal with it, the more you realize it's not them. It's not, it's them. It's not you,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's a good point though. I'm telling you, because when you're undeniable, right? So if somebody comes up to me and is like, Melody, you're fat, right? Like it just wouldn't work because
Yeah.
I know that I'm not. And I also know that I go to the gym and I also know that I try to
Right.
eat right.
right.
We all do.
Right.
At the same time, like I know I go to the gym. So if somebody was like, you're fat and you're lazy, like it just wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
So if
Right.
someone's like, Kayla, like your quality sucks, and it's like, well, no, sometimes, yeah, but most of the time, actually, no. Like I have my
Yeah.
days, and maybe you caught me on a bad day, but what you're saying, it's not gonna work because
It's not
if
accurate.
you saw all my work as a whole, you wouldn't think that. So go ahead and try it. Like say whatever you need to say because it's just not gonna work. It's
Yeah.
not logical at that point.
Yeah.
Like I bust my ass, right? My quality at times may suffer. There are just days, right? But at the same
Mhm.
time, I'm still striving to have an amazing quality. And I think I'm actually doing better than most.
Yeah.
Right. And your
So
Absolutely.
customers think you are too.
yeah. They can appreciate it, right?
Yeah. And those are the
Right.
customers you want.
I always say that it doesn't make a bad tinter to, you know, do a bad window. It makes a bad tinter when you see that bad window and you don't want to redo it again. And don't get me wrong, we have our moments, but at the same time, there's so much strength and you just always feel so much better when you just redo it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That
And
was
then
me
fight
today.
with your window
Yeah.
for like 30 minutes
30
just to end up
minutes,
having
girl.
to
I
redo
will
it.
scratch on that thing for so long, think it please. But then
Go away.
sometimes it works out too, right? Like
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
more times
Yeah.
than not, it don't though. For me, it don't
yeah.
more times
You
than
get
not.
you get better at fixing things like that, like, you really do.
There are
Oh, see,
times
that's
where things that
yeah.
you just know it's not gonna work, but you do it anyway because you're like, I know it.
Yeah, it's like when you're like on the windshield, and you're like in the last corner and you crease it on accident. You're like, no, it's not gonna show when I pull the liner off.
It won't see
It's not that
it,
deep.
right?
It didn't go all the way through.
That's just on the liner.
I can scratch on it, I swear.
No, really, I definitely agree with that.
I was on
Kayla,
the
is there
phone with
something going
Montana
on?
today. Huh? Oh. I was on the phone with Montana today, and, like, I was doing a window that was, like, a warranty job, and I redid it, and then my, like, redo wasn't good, there was, like, a little like, a pinky, like, amount of, like, dirt, from where
Mhm.
the glue was, and I was like, "Do I leave it?" I was like, "No, I can't," and so I redid it, and it took me, 3 tries, and then it was, like, perfect, and I was like, "You know what? So glad I didn't leave that."
Yeah, you felt better
It's
walking away from that as well. I know it's
yeah,
times where I like try to redo something or try to like get away with not redoing it. And when I walk away from it, like it eats me up. I go home thinking about it. The next day I'm thinking about it. If I see that customer again on my social media, I'm thinking about it. I'm like,
I
dang, do
keep
they
me up at
know?
night.
Are they not
Have you
happy?
seen it?
But it's true
So
though,
now I
right?
just redo it
So
over.
that's the saying, like if you always ask yourself and you're like looking at it like, can I do better? And you're like, yeah, I probably could, right? Because I've seen myself do better. And you didn't try to make a mistake. You didn't know that was going to happen. And maybe it wasn't even your fault, right? Like maybe it had nothing to do with you, but the car's a little bit older, or, you know, it just like something in the wind blew into it. So it's like at the same time, the amount of money we're able to make from this stuff, you know,
You can do it.
it counts into effect that you can mess up a couple times. And so if you're okay with that, then it won't be as frustrating. Or if you, I mean, someone told me once, and this was one of my favorite quotes, like if you move too fast, it feels like you're working. If you don't move that fast, it just doesn't feel like you're working. Like enjoy it as you're doing it, as opposed to sitting there and thinking, I need to get this done. I'm such a good tinter that it needs to come out right the first time, or just whatever. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I agree.
No,
And
I
also,
mean,
like a lot of times, people would say like, out of a roller box of tint, you're supposed to do 10 cards and 2 front windows. And so, like when I was like kind of getting the hang of it and starting out, I was like, okay, I need to do 10 cars and 2 front windows out of this box. I can't do anything less. And so I was stressing myself so much about like, I need to make this film stretch. But now it's to the point where it's like, if I get 6 cars out of this, even 7, I'm happy. Like I am very happy, and my customers are
Do you
happy.
actually track how much you get out of a particular roll?
So I do, because I have a plotter. So I do actually track, and then also TintWiz tracks it as well. The app. You gotta need to download the app.
yeah, it's the best. I
Oh, yeah.
fucking love it.
So yeah, I do track it. So like I said, if I get 6 or 7 out of it, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good
I
number. That's more
yeah,
realistic, you
it
know?
is.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day, and it honestly, I think the pressure sometimes we put on ourselves, that's the hard part, right? Because if you're like, if I don't get 10 out, if I don't get the right amount out, maybe other people are and they're better than me, right? So no.
Yeah. And then also like subconsciously you're thinking about the money you're losing. Like that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, dang, how much
You're
am
like
I
counting it.
losing? Yeah.
Which is
Like,
funny
oh
though,
my God, that was a whole car gone.
but the tinters before us, right? They set those
Yep.
prices in advance, ones that we're either mimicking or we're doing the math ourselves, and we're saying, how much am I making off of this? You know, what's my profit margin? They did that because they knew we were gonna lose some, you know, they knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
didn't think about that. That makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, what's, one of the, like, hardest things that you've gone through in your business, and, like, how did you overcome it?
One of the hardest things, honestly, they're always coming. It's a never ending. It's like, how was your day? Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. No, it's such an evolving business that even when you're getting through one thing, you know, it's like another thing comes, which is good. It's really good because, again, like who I was 1 year, 2 years ago has changed so much due to these things that I thought were so hard. And so, if I guess if I have to think about the hardest thing, maybe just honestly in general, keeping up with all the changes that it can present, because I have 2 employees now and I love them. They're so great, but things that were true in year 1 weren't true in year 2, and they've been able to just roll with those punches, like, and so have I. So I'm glad I can, but now I'm relying on 2 other people to do the same thing, and they've taken them in stride. And whereas if I had somebody who was just like, you know, forget you, like, this is not what you said a year ago, or this is not whatever, like, it's like, well, I'm sorry, like, you see the changes that are happening, like, are you willing to evolve and grow? Because I know I am, but are you guys? I'm not trying to create a place where you feel like you don't know what you can expect. However, things are always changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're always
Yeah.
growing. We're always scaling.
Mhm.
So it's
And I think
always
yeah, I think it's another thing that drew us in particular, all these people who tint, like, we're okay with change. We're okay
Yeah.
with things that are not always the same, and, like, in a way, we thrive on them.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't mean it's not challenging for us too at times, but for other people who were like, "Man, I didn't sign up for this," you're like, "Well, I swear it was in the job description somewhere."
Mm. Gotta read in between the lines.
So for your 2 employees, did you teach them how to tint, or did they already have the tinting experience?
I taught the first one, and he did great. Initially there were some, it's so funny because they're so different. I have one that was extremely cautious and was like, I don't want to tint windshields because I don't want to mess up your film and I don't want to lose your money. And then I had the other one who was like, I got this, right? Like he was like, he thought he got it before he had even tried one, right? He was like,
That's how my trainee is.
Mhm. They're so different, right? So you just
Yeah.
don't know what to expect. I'd imagine it's like, having children one day. You're just like, they're such different personalities. You don't know what you're gonna get. So,
Yeah.
the first one was great because he was so cautious. And so I taught him, and then he taught the next one, you know?
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you need the cautious one as the teacher for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's great. I mean, it still didn't help the second one who was like, I got this. But he's funny because that's his personality. He's not actually
Right.
true at the end of the day hot-headed. He just likes to sound like it, you know? So at the end of the
Mhm.
day, like he likes to
Macho.
have that like, yep. But at the end, he's sensitive. He's nice. He's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, truly. So they're actually both
That's
really great
good.
guys, and they're actually both Puerto Rican, which is not by on purpose. Like it was
Oh,
by
that
chance.
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Like, 'cause I think it is like a difference. Like when you do work with your culture, it's like you just understand certain things. Like y'all understand, like you could just talk in Spanish and it's no problem.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of times, like people who are bilingual, y'all will mainly talk in Spanish and like quickly flip to English for like 3 words and then go right back to Spanish.
Mhm.
English.
Well,
So
Rafa
that works
speaks
really
the
well.
most Spanish, and then Javier second, and then I actually really don't speak Spanish at all, and I'm Mexican and French, and they're both
What?
Puerto Rican. So
Oh
Thought you
dang!
looked Puerto
You don't.
Rican.
I did too.
I'm
You
not.
did look Puerto Rican,
I'm not. No,
huh?
I wish I spoke Spanish. I don't though, but it's great to hear them do it and be able to speak with the customers when I need it. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, that's a great thing
absolutely.
as well. Is like having a employee that is bilingual, so they can deal with those customers that do come in that don't
yeah, they're
speak
both really good
our
about
language.
that. Mhm. Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely. Kayla, do you speak Spanish?
No.
Where are you from, Kayla? I mean,
I'm
San Antonio, yes, but where's your family from?
Kerrville, Texas.
But like
Oh,
ethnicity
like
wise.
ethnicity? My dad's Mexican, my mom's Spanish, and a little Irish.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
my dad is French and my mom is Mexican. So
Okay, okay. Alicia, what are you?
What am I?
What are
My
you?
mom is Black and my dad is German.
Oh, interesting.
see, so we all got
Yeah,
little
I don't
mixes
speak
going
German.
Yeah, we're all mutts.
Yeah.
on.
Yes. So, what advice do you think you would give somebody like coming into this new window tinting experience, especially a female in this industry?
Oh, that's a good question. So male or female, I don't think it really matters because if you're a female coming into this industry, you're already probably part tomboy in some way. But honestly, I would just say pay attention to the parts that really excite you, like if it's business or if it's window tinting or if it's being the front desk person or like I started out as a window tinter and that's not how I'm finishing up. I don't tint
Mhm.
as often as I used to. However, there's still a part of me that always wants to be able to lay film or be able to
Mhm.
teach it or be able to coach it. Because for me, I think now I'm more interested in leading and coaching
Yeah.
and trying to grow, So it's different than what I started out as originally. So just pay attention to what aspect it is that you actually like about tinting. And if that's what it is that you're interested in, follow that and pursue that. And if it's business, make sure that you're able to branch off and start learning more things about that too, because it's not the same to be a tinter and be a business owner. Like they're two totally different things. And it's a whole new realm of things that you have to learn, which is
Mhm.
great. Like it's fulfilling and it's awesome But just remember, like if you go into a shop and they want to be a tinter first, that their business procedures might not all be in place just yet, you know? So you have to have a good person, a good strong person up there who wants to learn those type of things like taxes and accounting and standard operating procedures and follow that, because it's so important and there's so much to it that once you start, you know, you'll be able to grow it. And if you are tinting, you know, it's an artistic craft and it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun to do. So pursue that if you're going to do, and make sure that you're going to be the best tinter possible, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of tinters out there. There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're the one that's patient, and make sure that you're the one that cares about quality and not getting out the fastest. And,
Yeah.
you know, just, I mean, everybody should always be striving to be the best at what they do, no matter what. So if you're going to just barely get into this industry, make sure you're not just trying to cut corners, you know?
Yeah.
Because for the people who cut corners, like I look at them and I think, man, they're making it too easy for me.
Yeah. There's a lot of those too. Like, yeah, there's a lot of window tinters, but there's also more window tinters who just don't care. Like they make it easy. They really do. They don't show up, you know, they just do a bad
Yeah.
job. Like, and then they come to me like, I'm never leaving you. You did so good. And that,
You showed up, you were on time, you were professional, my customer was right there, you made me look good, you know, like all these things where it's just like some people, it's funny because some people grow up, but they grow older, but they don't actually grow up. You know, it's like
Yeah.
same thing with tinting. They get older, but their skill doesn't actually progress, and I don't know why.
dude, yeah. Yeah. No, I've had tinters who've been
I
tinting
don't
for
know
like
why.
20 years and they're just, I don't know if it's the
Quality's
not
never been a thing.
caring or, yeah, like wanting to just go fast, fast, fast. Like, never
Yeah.
looks good.
Celebrate the small wins. Like there's no doubt about it.
Mhm.
Celebrate the small wins, but I don't want to say never be happy with yourself, because I want you to be happy in general, but still always don't always think I'm the
Next
greatest.
step.
Don't always think I'm the best. Don't always think I'm the fastest. Don't ever let your ego get so big that you're looking at other people like I'm better, because then you don't leave room to say I need to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. People who aren't self aware and only see themselves as the best person there is, like, there's no room for growth that way. If you're not self aware, how are you supposed to grow? Like, if you can't even see the problem,
Mhm.
Yeah. Agree.
there's a lot.
It is a
So,
lot. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, so when you ask me, like, what do you as a tinter? You know, it's like there's a lot. Just keep watching. You guys keep watching the Tint podcast live. Listen to the industry. Get familiar with the industry and everybody that's in it, because everybody wants to help you. Everybody does.
Mhm. They're so supportive. They really are. It's amazing.
They are, and it's so like it's such a shock. This whole thing, like within the last since Tenor Battles, has been like a culture shock to me because
Yeah.
in my city, I stay to myself. I don't really indulge in other tenors, other business owners out here because it doesn't work. So when I went to Tenor Battles and I met all these other tenors that were like so willing to help, so willing to give so much knowledge and just like inspire you and like just like pray or like not like try to help you and build you up and build your business up and say like these are things that you should probably work on and focus on this. Have you thought about doing this in your business yet? And things like that. It was such an eye-opener. And like doing this podcast and meeting all these women who are else in the industry, and then also even some of the males we meet, it's just like it's been so great to learn other tenors and hear their story and see how supportive they are. Like, and that's a big thing. Like if you're in your city and the owners don't support you, it's a reason. They're intimidated probably. One,
Mhm.
but two, it's like they're not the only people in the world. There's so many other people out here that want to support you and motivate you. And I'm so like lucky and fortunate to have met people like you guys.
Yeah.
It's so
Absolutely.
inspiring, so motivating.
I want to ask you, Alicia. So, did content come naturally for you, or did you have somebody who was guiding you along that route?
So, my husband has a business. So I had been doing content for my husband business a year prior before I started doing content for my own. So I kind of like grew over time as I kept doing it. But then I did pay a marketer one time, and we talked, and she just said this one line, and it like when she said that one line, I was like, I'm hooked. I got it. And so she always just said to me, when you posting, you have to be intentional about what you're posting. So it's 3 categories you fit into. I think did I talk about this already on the podcast, Kayla?
I think that was the one we didn't post. So,
okay.
no.
I don't know if you want to hear it.
Yes.
Melody or not. Oh, you do?
That's what I asked.
So the 3 categories that you want to post in is educational. So what in your video is educating your audience? Something satisfying. For us, it's the squeegee, and people would sit up all night watching us squeegee. And then entertaining. So like if it's like a funny reel with like us talking about the customers or us just talking about something we're doing with tinting, something funny, those are what's going to catch the audience. And so once she had told me that I needed to intentionally post, that's when like my content completely changed. Because like, okay, now I'm going out here to record. What am I doing intentionally, or how am I going to set my camera up intentionally to show the people what I want them to see or what I want them to feel: educated, entertained, or satisfied. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got into the content.
But you see the way that it clicked for you though, like that's a you thing. You realize that, right? Like you can tell me and Kayla that, but it still might not click the same way it does for you. So that's a gift you got to tap into. And you're killing it. You're doing great. But now your talents go beyond what, people can see,
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good, girl. Like you can tell me that, but it doesn't click the same way because I don't have the same desire for it. So I have to really push harder for that. Whereas for you, I feel like I don't want to say it's coming naturally because I don't want to downplay the work you've potentially put into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've put a lot of work into it. And maybe some days you didn't feel like doing it, but man, it looks so good.
It does.
I do appreciate that because content is stressful. Because like it definitely puts like an extra hour onto cars because you're like constantly trying to change the angle, get the lighting right.
But that's a good thing, right? It puts an extra hour onto cars, whereas some people think, oh, I just need to set the camera up and move, and it's gonna happen.
No,
need a GoPro.
And then Kayla, you're a natural at interviewing.
Sure, yeah.
Voice. She has the radio voice.
I told her she's the video one, I'm the voice. She's so natural on camera, and I'm the voice.
Not even, girl. You just have a good way when you're interviewing people and you're talking to them and you're asking them questions that I feel like they want to talk to you. They feel like you're listening,
Yeah, because I am. I'm like always like, so like, let me pick your brain. Let me like tell me everything, like I'm just always engaged and interested.
That's great, girl. You're doing so good.
So was Alicia. Yeah. She was running this podcast for sure. She's helping a lot.
No doubt about it. You guys are killing it.
Thank
Dream
you.
team.
We appreciate that. Yeah, dream team. Yeah. What would you say like your biggest influence has been within this tinting? And have you seen somebody that you like look up to, or somebody that you like maybe not motivate you, but like kind of motivate you? Like somebody you watch and it's like her or him.
Yes and no. I think there's different people for everything, right? Mm-hmm. So, there's a certain person that you feel like is the most organized, whereas there's a certain person that's killing it in marketing, whereas there's a certain person that's doing in this. So one person in particular, no, but I will definitely shout out Marco like you did, because, he pulled me in and he makes you feel like things are possible. And I'll just never forget that, Definitely Eric Devash, who's, doing so much for the industry that you just feel like he's giving to you. And in return, you need to go back out and give to the world as well. I love that. There's a lot of people who I don't even know, like Alex Hormozy, or just different business advices, Grant Cardone, that you're listening to that are giving all sorts of different, just continuous golden nuggets to what you need to hear at the right time. Because when someone gives me business advice, I'm not always ready to hear it, but I record it, right? Like I listen to it so that when the time is right, I'm like, this is what he was saying for this moment. And now I can apply it because I'm still a baby. Whereas when we go to tinter battles, there's so many people who have been doing it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And what they're saying is true, and I know it. I'm just not ready for it. I'm not ready to receive it, and I'm not ready to apply it yet because it doesn't make sense to my business just now. And then some of it does. Some of it's like, hey, you do need to go ahead and do this, and you do need to learn from their mistakes, because if you don't, you're gonna make the same ones.
Yeah.
So that's hard too, because when you haven't learned it, you're like, shoot, I gotta trust this process that I'm just not fully aware of. And you don't want to wait till you learn it to be like, oh, that's what they meant, you know?
That's what they were
Yeah.
talking about.
But there are so many people, you've probably heard it at Tinter Battles. You heard it just through social media, giving all sorts of advice. And you do want to be able to take it all in, but you still need to be able to quiet it down and take into what applies to you at that time. And if you're not ready to hear something else, record it or write it down and just remember it for when that time applies to you, because everybody's at a different stage in their business or their life or their tinting career, you know, because they can tell me something about something that's just so far ahead of me that I'm like, I'm trying to listen, right? Because they're the greats. They
Yeah.
came, they did it before me. They're successful. You can see that they're successful and they're happy. So you're like, I need to listen to this, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
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 I don't get it yet. Like,
I
but then
definitely
later
feel that.
you'll see when something happens to you, you're like, that's what they meant. That's what they said. I remember that. So you just take it all in and you just continue go to those events and take them in stride and take them with a grain of salt, because again, not everybody's right. Sometimes
Yeah.
people give bad business advice and they're good people. So you just have to think about your situation, what applies to you, like constantly be an analyzer, constantly try to think about it from different angles and how it can apply to you. And does it even apply to you in your situation and your demographic and your, like, so many factors, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's you know, my influence is everybody. Truly it is. There's nobody that is like, it could truly be a homeless person who gives me a golden nugget. Like, you just don't limit to yourself to who can give you business advice, right? Now you're open to it. Now you're a tinter. Now you see the possibilities. Now you're listening.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I definitely, and tinting definitely like opened that world up of like seeing just the seeing outside of your box, because a lot of times we are confined in a box. And so tinting, when you get into like a business world, you see everything. Like, I cannot drive down the street now and like not think about somebody owns that company that did that. And it was probably a small business company.
Yeah.
Because the city likes supporting locals. It's a lot of things that people don't know as well. Like when people start going out, because they love local businesses, small businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tinting, like, definitely, like how you said, it opens up your eyes, your horizon, for sure.
Yeah.
Going into the
Absolutely.
business world. Yes.
Well, it's about time to wrap up.
Do you want to give us your socials that you want people to, how can people follow you, or how can people find you?
So you can find me. My Instagram is Champagne Window Tinting. Champagne is my last name. That's the French side of me. So Champagne Window Tinting is my business. ChampagneWindowTinting.com is our webpage. Champagne Window Tinting is our Facebook. So you can follow us on all of those if you want to learn more. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, Champagne, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How?
Great. We appreciate you coming on. You know, we definitely told the women, you know, you've been doing your thing, and I've seen how you've grown over the time from when we first, you know what I'm saying, when you first came out of your shell at Tinter Battles. So yeah. So that's what's up though. You know what I mean? So we appreciate you for coming on.
It seems like Tinter Battles started all of
That's
these.
Montana. He's been doing it for a long time, so he can tell you what the come up is like from point A to point B, you know?
It's definitely it's so much knowledge and wisdom. Like you say, you can pull some from everybody. You just got to be willing to take in. Like I say, you can take in. It's kind of like you got to filter some things. Like you take in what you need, and then some things you may not apply. You may not really need. So you ain't got to worry about that. But just take it in, and that's what helps me grow. I just, no matter what, I'm always in learn mode. I'm always listening and trying to learn something new. So I don't know everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I still learn stuff every day, and that's how I become better and got to the level where I'm at now. So just be a good listener. I'll stay
That's
teachable,
that
stay
room for
learnable.
improvement right there, you know? Again, if
Right,
somebody
Yeah.
ever stops and says, "I'm the greatest," then that's where they stop.
right,
Mhm.
And
right.
that
Cause
allows somebody to pass you up because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
stop.
right, cause
You're at the
think about
top.
it. New cars come out all the time. So no, it be cars that people haven't even done yet. So how could you master everything when you don't even know how this new car is, how it's made, the seals come out? Can you put a blade on the window? Like, it's so many things
Oh,
changing.
can you put a blade on a window? That's the one.
Right. Watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out for the Toyota Crowns. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Some
That's what I hear. Right when you started talking about that, and I saw one drive past the other day, and the guys were like, "Oh, that's a crown. We haven't tinted that." And I was like, "You don't want to." But I
right,
haven't had one.
right. Like I say,
I don't
they
want
nice
one.
cars, but they got a stretch coating, some type of protected coating on the glass. And if you put
I
a
gotta look
blade on
these
it,
up. You said a Toyota
man,
what?
yeah,
Crown.
but see, this the thing. Core alert will pop up. It'll give you a notification, but it's a Toyota Crown. It's like the 2023 or 2024 model, but they got a protected coating on there. If you put a blade on it, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can be
Dang.
scratched up, like terrible. Like, you just really just, man, it will cost you. I almost slipped up myself. I almost slipped up, but Core saved me. You know what I mean?
So what's the word? Like, do you just use a scrub pad, or are you just supposed to just squeegee alone?
It's my thing was, I went on and just used a scrub pad, but I just did it kind of lightly, but I still was kind of afraid because they say sometimes even some of the scrub pads will stretch it up.
Mhm.
So I always, I say, if I get another one, I'm gonna let the customer know that, look, I only can squeegee your windows. I can't put no blade on it. So don't get mad at me if something's on there that I can't scrape off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if I do, I'm
Yeah.
gonna scratch up your glass. So either you want it done, or I just won't be able to do it. You know what I mean? But you got to let them know that when you're dealing with that model, if you're not too sure. But if you got a cutting somewhere, which is core, a lot of times a notification pops up and it'll let you know to watch out, for this vehicle. So yeah, but
Mm.
yeah, so
Good. We need
definitely
that. We need that.
for
All
sure.
we are is trying to tint. We're just trying to tint the car.
I know.
I know, right? I know. So yeah, Miss Champagne. So did you give your social media and everything? You told them where they can find you
Mhm.
at?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, cool. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you coming on. I know the ladies
Yes, thank
do.
you guys. Thank you guys for having me out. I appreciate it, ladies. Montana.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you.
It's been a
Thank you
Like I
so
say,
pleasure.
'cause
much.
hey, look, I threw Melody out there with our first tenor battles when she was like, "Oh, I don't know about." We pulled in and had her do it, and she did well under pressure. Like, she really did. You couldn't really tell. Like, she was in the way how her energy was. Like, it was like you couldn't tell she was like nervous or anything. Like, she just did her thing. Like, she was in the shop tending the car or something.
That's
So
because he did the hard part, though. I let Montana was like, "I'll hand cut everything. I'm gonna double up the film on the windows, right?" So he hand
right,
cut
right.
everything for me. So all I had to do was install. Now, hand cutting is a wonderful craft, right? Like, you have
Right.
to be good at it. It takes you next level. You're the human plotter at that point. And Montana was like, "Don't worry. Like, I'm gonna handle this part, okay?"
Yeah, but then look, that was my first competition. So, and then I'm on the side. So what really got me, I have never been that nervous in my life. What got me, I was on the side where the people was, and they were so close that they can just really look at you while you was doing everything. And I'm sitting there like everything, like you get nervous and you get the, you know what I'm saying? I'm sweating. I never really sweat when I tint. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it was an experience, but it made me better. Like, after that competition, I
They
went back
definitely make you
and
better.
yeah. So the experience is great. Even if you don't win, or you know what I'm saying, or this right here, like the experience and you challenging yourself, it makes you become better. When you go back to the shop, you're gonna go hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Well,
So
it made it easier
Melody,
whenever I had that expel one that I accidentally signed up for and I didn't realize it.
right.
'Cause that was
Well,
one where I was like, they were like, "Hey, you're on in 10," and I was like, "For what?" Oh, where?
Yeah, you got to be ready at all times. That's the thing with this tent thing.
Oh,
You got to be ready at all times. They pulled me in a competition at Winter Film Revolution last year. I wasn't expecting to be in it, but like I say, this year, Melanie, we're looking forward to seeing you at the reunion because it's gonna be great. There's gonna be a lot of knowledge being shared, a lot of seminars that they having. Just overall, it's gonna be a great event. So we're looking forward to seeing you there. And we just want to thank you for coming on. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But definitely, we appreciate it, Miss Champagne.
Sounds good.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
at the reunion. All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
See you there.
Cool. Definitely, y'all. That was great. So, y'all got to make sure y'all tell the people to tune in for y'all Women Wednesday.
Yes, tune in to Women Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube and everything. Please, please, please support.
Yes. And we see every comment that you guys are saying to us. We see every like, every share. We appreciate it so much. It keeps us going. It keeps the lights on. Thank you guys.
Yes. And ask us more questions. The more questions, the better.
Awesome. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Tint Life Podcast. We'll see y'all next time.